Hey guys, welcome back to AFTV. It's 5 p.m. here in the UK. You guys around the world joining in as well. A big thank you for all the support throughout the week, throughout the week and everything that's been going on. The fixtures have been announced, the new signings imminent, and we've been enjoying doing these lives, discussing it all. I've had some really good debates with Robbie. I know you and Cecil have had some great chats as well. So we thought we'd just round off the week by just going through kind of 5 questions. We're going to put some polls up, get voting in the comment section when you see them appear. And we're just going to debate some of the big talking points. How are you, Turkish? You good?
I'm all good, man. Listen, it's been a busy week in terms of a transfer window week for Arsenal. It pretty much started off with the Basuma stuff and a lot of uproar about that. Quelled a bit by the fixture release, and then obviously Vieira's announcement or the shock.
It's been an emotional week because I don't mean emotional like upsetting. I mean emotional like from the disappointment that I think I'm speaking about the fan base quite generally here. The disappointment of seeing whether it's Basuma or just the fact that Tottenham are doing a lot of business to the fixtures coming out, and it's like, oh, we start at Palace, but actually those first 5 are okay. And I don't know about you, but whenever the fixtures come out, it kind of feels very real that there's another season coming. And as much as Arsenal tend to disappoint me, I'm always excited for a new season, though, that I'll ever change. And then Vieira out of nowhere. Nice. So it's just kind of, it's been a bit of a roller coaster week.
It's a welcome week, because usually in the summer transfer windows, the weeks go by and they're all dead. Yeah. So, it's a nice week to have as an Arsenal fan, but it needs to continue.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Look, let's get straight into it then, because we've really talked on a lot of these topics. So we might as well just go into the polls, the questions. Guys, get in your comments, get in your votes as well as you see the poll appear. My question is, and I think I know your answer, but I'm asking very generally, do you mind that Eddie Nketiah is supposedly going to be getting the number 14 shirt?
Yes, I mind. Shock.
That
Horror.
Is the question.
Surprise. Who's shocked that there? That should be the first poll. Who's shocked that Turkish minds? But listen, it's nothing on Eddie.
And that's the crucial bit.
Yeah, it's nothing on Eddie, because the club should be, setting the standards themselves, and whether it's a request or whether it's being given to give some more depth to the extension, either way, I just don't think it's the right move. With that number, I know since Thierry, Theo's had that number and Oba's had that number, so it doesn't hold the same weight as it did when Henry left us, and essentially we should have held on to the number a bit longer. But still, similar to Emil getting the 10 last year, in the position that he was, which was very much fresh to the first team, and then the season pans out. And to be honest with you, in terms of productivity, he took the pressure well. He had a good season. Whether it's off the bench or not, he had a good season. 14 for Eddie is just... The aim is probably to sell shirts, create a bit of buzz around it all. We have limited numbers to give big players. So it lead me to believe that we don't have a big player coming in.
Do numbers need to be... Well, that's another good point. And actually, I saw a good stream Tapping Toes was doing with Lee and Dan Potts. And Lee was making the point that actually maybe the fact that Jesus will probably get 9 and Nketiah will get 14 suggests there probably isn't another striker. The best we can hope for is maybe another winger for depth. But then the Vieira deal might put that in doubt. We'll discuss that. But
do you mind?
Do I mind? I do mind. I do. I was going to try and play more devil's advocate, but again, kind of depends how you look at this. I believe that numbers at clubs do hold a certain weight. I do believe the number 7 shirt at Man United is
historic.
It's historic. It's sacred. It's not the number 9 shirt at Newcastle. It's not that you don't give these numbers to other players. It's that. And again, this is no disrespect to Eddie. It's earn it. You're Arsenal's number 14.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Now, no one's going to be Thierry Henry. But when Aubameyang came in and got it, I didn't mind it. This guy was banging in goals around Europe.
I can understand it.
£60 million signing.
Even with Theo, I didn't like it. But I guess to them, this is the next up. He's the young, bright spark. He's the wonder kid at the time. Let's give it to him. So I could kind of understand, but then it got dragged through the mud. With Oba, you're right. When he came in, the standard of striker he is, he's a world-class striker. So giving it to him made sense.
Yeah, I stomached the Aubameyang one more than... I was kind of too young to care when they gave it to Walcott. But then in hindsight, I think that number 14 shirt goes to, you know, a leading Arsenal striker. It's just that's the legacy Henry left behind.
Yeah.
And they're never going to be Henry. I guess for some players, I guess there's also the other side of we don't want to be Henry. We're going to be who we are. We're going to try and create our own legacy. So I guess there's sometimes that side of it. Other players might not care. Like Nketiah might just be like, I don't want number 30. It's a horrible, big, clunky number. I'll take 14. I don't know. And that's kind of the two schools of thought. How much do you care? How much do you not? And there are some people I'm seeing in the comments, some people going, it is literally just a number. Like, who cares? And I do get that. But I don't know why. I think something in me has always cared about. And players, I mean, I think Sancho took 25 because it was 2 + 5 is 7.
Oh, is it?
I think that might be one of those football Twitter things that has just gone round. But I do think certain players care about numbers. You remember a big fuss when Ben White came and got number 4, and it was like, well, what does that mean for Saliba?
Yeah.
You know, he wore 2 at Marseille. He'll probably get 2. I don't know. I think these things matter. Mustafi is better than Van Dijk. That's not my comment. That's a super chat. That's the name of a guy who sent in a super chat. Says 14 is the number of minutes he's playing with Jesus coming in. Very good. Hadi is referring to the Vieira deal. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but he says that the deal, the secrecy of the deal excites him for what's to come. He said, what would you rate a summer of Vieira, Tielemans, Jesus, Rafinha and Hickey? Big you to love for the love. Oh, big up to you, love for the love.
Love, my bro.
I was really struggling with that one. So very quickly then, Vieira, Tielemans, Jesus, Rafinha, Hickey. That's an 8 for me.
8.
2 forwards, 2 midfielders and a fullback.
Probably a 7.
7, yeah,
because of the lack of goals, in my opinion.
Yeah, you don't see you don't see 35, 40 goals added to the squad in that. Maybe.
Potentially, depends.
Yeah,
You know,
5 to 10 Tielemans, 20 Jesus, 15 Rafinha. I'm being hopeful. Those are hopeful numbers, but I mean, I don't think I'd write off their potential. Let's see what everyone's saying in terms of. Okay, this is closer than I thought. So 60% say they do mind about Nketiah wearing the number 14. 40% don't. Okay, I thought it'd be more weighted towards people minding.
Yeah.
Nearly 1,200 votes there.
Healthy
That's interesting.
amount. Healthy amount.
Yeah. Keenan says Eddie couldn't lace Henry's boots. Abomination. Yeah, but Keenan, like a lot of players, I thought Aubameyang was very good for us, but you know he was nowhere near that level. Henry's a legend, probably the greatest striker, if not greatest player to ever play in the Premier League. Yeah, we'll end the poll there. We'll move on to the next one. So yeah, 60% saying they do, which I think was roughly what I expected. I thought it'd be a bit more the other way.
Yeah, so did I, but it is what it is.
We've done this with numbers. When Gallas got the number 10, shambles. When we gave out any number 4, which wasn't, again, at the time I didn't really mind, I didn't really care, but I was a bit like, Vieira's 1-4, Fabregas 1-4, like, and only had been a kind of squad player for a couple of years. Yeah. Again, ultimately, bar this conversation, I ain't losing sleep about it or thinking about it more than this. But yeah, I think it's a bit strange.
Yeah, because listen, we know what these owners in this club's really about, and that's making money. And shirt sales numbers matched up to big players, that makes money. That's why last season with 7 to Saka, and Saka deserves. Don't get me wrong. Out of the 3, Saka, Emil, and Eddie, Saka deserved it. Yeah, he was taking the step up. You could see his potential. You could see the ceiling that he has. Yeah. But with the 10 and the 14 and even number 9, even though it's been in the mud for the last for a little while now, they're numbers that sell shirts. And if we have a club, an owner that cares about making money and maximizing that, then this tells me that we're not after big players. It's like what they thought to themselves: let's give these big numbers to these players because there's a connection with Emil, there's a connection with Saka, and they're thinking they're hoping that there's connection with Eddie. Could you
argue? I'm not sure how much I believe this, but could you argue that it's a good incentive for the youngsters? If you're a hair-length product, you see that you are legitimately going to get rewarded, and that is something that a lot of big clubs who have had success have sometimes been criticised for, is not having that actual path for young players. And Arsenal in the last couple of years have produced that, to be fair. Yeah, but I think it's enough to be playing for Arsenal at a young age, to be given the exposure and the platform. We're starting to use numbers to keep some of these young players at the club. That kind of typifies the problem we have.
We're lacking the facets needed to attract players or to keep players at the club. So what, they're starting to use numbers as one of those assets.
Sure, yeah, good point. Daniel Super Chat says Arsenal fans finding another way to tear down the squad, build up our players. AFTV, Arsenal on the rise. Danny, we just did a whole breakdown on Fabio Vieira, which came out a couple hours ago, and we really bigged him up there. And I think generally we've all been excited.
No one's tearing anyone down here.
I think we've all been excited.
Some people are just too sensitive, man. Just allow it, man. Relax. No one's tearing any player down. We even said it's not on Eddie that he.
Absolutely.
It's the club.
Yeah.
So just relax. Stop being sensitive. Take it easy. Calm. It's a nice day. Well, it's a nice day in London. Hopefully it's a nice day where you are as well, but smile, cheer. Me telling someone to smile, cheer up, imagine that.
I just love this comment. James waffling again. Who's it by? The number one waffler.
He should know then. If there's anyone to let you know,
listen,
then,
fair enough. Fair enough.
Waffler.
He knows what he's talking about. Lindo Subcha says, I would do a swap deal in Nketiah for Richarlison. He's about to sign a new deal, and so if he was going to go to Everton, they would have just snapped him up for nothing.
Some people think the new deal will mean he's worth 30 mil.
Yeah. Carl asks, how are we spending 50 mil on a player with 1 year left? He's talking about Gabriel Jesus. We'll go to the Jesus stuff in a bit. More comments coming in. We'll make sure to take all the super chat. Stress says 14 is a big number even for Aubameyang. Eddie should score 15 like Robbie said, which he won't, and then take up 14. Better for his career. Hope Gabby J14. I'm not sure what he means by that last bit, but
Gabriel Jesus 14.
Oh, sorry, yeah. It's Friday. I'm being thick. Let's go into my next question then. The next poll is going to be coming up.
Because even with that number thing, I remember people were hinting that maybe Martinelli should get it at the end of the year. And even with Martinelli, I said way too early to even insinuate.
Right, yeah,
but Martinelli is
more deserving.
I wouldn't say deserving because no one deserves the 14 at this club. But I mean, he's got more about him. He's got more depth to the argument. We can see something in Martinelli in the first team in the future. With Eddie, not so much. So
yeah, I hear that. Next one, poll coming up. Was £30 million a good use of funds for the Fabio Vieira deal? Now, this isn't anything to do with judging his quality as a player. I think no matter how much or how little you know, I think on the eye you can see there's a talent there. Rave reviews coming out of Portugal. A player that we talk about depth, needing numbers, whatever. The question is purely about the areas we need to address in the squad and whether 30 million to go on Fabio Vieira was the right move.
It's really hard to say for sure now.
Yeah.
Until we see, and people might say, then it's not really. 30 million, I think, in this modern day and age for an English football club is about right for that sort of a player, in my opinion. It's a lot of money to us general folk, but to the football world, to the market, 30 to 40 million, that's kind of the price for me for maybe a next prospect.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I think it was pretty good business. Obviously, I don't know much about him. What I've heard and the brief bits I've seen, I'm happy with the signing. Whether he's worth that money and whether we finally start building on the value of players is another thing, because we've bought players for 35 million before, and for example last summer no one wanted to pay over 13 mil for the same guy.
Sure.
So it's about that as well. It's about how they come into the team, how they show themselves, the step up, the pressure, the all of that. Then you can kind of really define whether it was worth it. But in this modern day and age, 30 to 40 million prospect, young, it makes sense. My
thing is purely about the way he's used and positionally. And my big argument, not to spoil it, go watch it, when I did the breakdown with Robbie on Vieira and looking at kind of his numbers, his research, his touches, where a lot of his, we were showing you earlier, where a lot of his assists come from and his delivery, it started to convince me that he's a player we might see more in the forward line. And when I started to think of it that way, I thought, actually, I can get on board with this a lot more because of his end product in the final third. And when you watch his goals he scored last season, a lot of them arriving late in the box and having that really kind of finesse cultured finish that you go, okay, this guy can keep his composure in front of goal. So I'm going to vote yes, it was. And 77% of people agree it was, which is, I'm glad that the Arsenal fan base are enthused, or at least, well, the people watching this are enthused about the 30 million going to him, because I do think on the back of 25 going to Bissouma from Spurs, there's a sense of, well, what kind of midfielder do we need more? And whether you still think we need a Basuma or not, this might be an investment that people are excited about.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think it's the base level you're paying for a player with potential, especially early 20s. So hopefully we look back and say it's good business. It looks like good business from where we are now. We'll see.
Do you have an inkling as to where you think he'll play?
I think he'll be part of the three.
Midfield three.
I'm starting to doubt Tillemans, if I'm honest.
Oh, really? Think that might not happen?
Yeah, if Tillemans does come, then I'm probably more with you, maybe the forward line. But I'm thinking it might be Partey, Odegaard in the 8, and then Vieira more free in the 10 or whatever position it is nowadays. 10 is not 10 anymore. So I think it'll be those three. If Tillemans comes in, then yeah, I might rejig that about. But if he is part of the forward line, because he hasn't. In terms of the forward line, where do you see him in the forward line? For you, because you know about him already. Like, I'm coming in kind of blind. I've seen him here and there. It's been a little while since I've seen him. But if he was part of the forward line, where would he be? Off the left, off the right?
I'm going to give you a vague answer. I think it's a bit of both. He played a lot of times in a 4-4-2. I remember when they drew 2-2 with Sporting, and he was on the right of a kind of 4-4-2. That's where Bernardo Silva played a lot of his football in Monaco. Had that great run to the Champions League semi-final, semi-final. That's where Bernardo was operating. But one of the great assists he gets in that game is from the left-hand side, the one I showed you earlier. And his goal is a right-footed finish from like right in the bang in the middle of the penalty area. Anyway, so he can operate centrally and on the left. I think Arsenal have more fluidity in games this season. And I think you'll see more Vieira starts left, Saka starts right. But you know what, 25 minutes they swap. I like to think he's that guy who is just going to give us different layers, and teams are going to be going, okay, so I'm not 100% sure what this list of 11 is going to look like on the pitch. And Arsenal need that, I think.
Do you think there's a case to be made that potentially our striking options would be Jesus, Martinelli, Eddie, and then our left wing options become Vieira and Martinelli?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
So Martinelli moves more into a central role this season, maybe because Arteta tried out Emil a lot on that left-hand side, and Emil he did his thing there, but sometimes he was also quiet there. Does Arteta want that sort of a, not a winger? Because I don't look at Emil as a winger, and I don't look at Vieira as a winger either.
Sure. No, he's not an out-and-out winger.
They're more cultured midfielders that can drift in from the wings. So maybe potentially he wants him there as our starting left winger, and there's a Martinelli. Because does it make sense to go into a season with only Jesus and Eddie as your two strikers, or maybe is Balogun now the third choice? There's so many questions
we often forget about Balogun. I think Arteta wants goals across the pitch. I don't think he wants to feel like if he lost his £70 million number 9 that suddenly there's no goals in the team. But at the same time, you want that reliable guy that strikes fear into everyone. Now, I speak to City fans who tell me, listen, if Jesus gets a run up front as the number 9, he will get more goals than he's kind of typically registered at Man City. I think it'll be a case of Jesus number 1, Eddie number 2, Vieira, Martinelli, Saka chipping in with goals. I think we will target one more wide forward. Almost like a better Pepe.
Okay. Is that why the Rafinha links are about?
I think so.
But then but does that really answer the question then? Because if we did bring in a Rafinha, let's say Rafinha did come in, or Bowen, but let's say Rafinha, then what happens? It still doesn't really answer the Vieira question. In fact, it throws a question mark over maybe Saka or how Rafinha is implemented in the set.
Well, if we brought in Rafinha and you got Jesus, you suddenly got the Hale Enders that we're also excited about, Eddie, Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe. You're talking about 3 of them not playing. And then if you add Vieira, you're talking about maybe all 4 of them not playing. So I think that's great for depth. I think that's great for their development in terms of managing through the squad, because Smith Rowe can sometimes play in central midfield, and maybe Martinelli plays out front sometimes and all that, but there's no pressure for Saka to always be on the right, could be on the left. But maybe Arteta, the one thing I've had in my mind for a while is that I don't think Arteta's stupid. I think he knows that he's on, I don't want to say borrowed time, but the love from the fans that he still has from a lot of them, it's not wearing thin, but it's like, we've been with you, we acknowledge, but this season has to bloody hit.
Yeah.
And so he's probably like, Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe, phenomenal talents. I can't actually rely on you guys all season. That's not their fault. They're so young. I can't rely on you all season. So I need to add proper quality that supplements what you guys do well.
So do you see a lot of rotation then?
I think I see a lot of rotation.
But do you think that's right? Because it's all good and well City and rotating when you're a well-oiled machine and you've got Pep and the abundance of quality and winning mentality and whatnot. Can you see it working from where we are, that sort of a method? Because on the flip side, there's an argument that, let's say for Pepe, for example, he hasn't had 10 games in a row.
Yeah.
But surely if we're moving into a rotational option, there's going to be a lot of players there that don't have 10 games in a row.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think you just got to hope that the fixture congestion, the Europa League, run, and hopefully a Carabao Cup run only allows players to maintain that momentum. You're playing so frequently. Arsenal will. It's gonna be busy for us. 6 games in October, 6 games in April, and then 5 in August. That's a much busier. Those are much busier periods than we're used to seeing in the season. So, but Arteta has forever tried to be Pep light, Man City light. So, if Pep rotates a lot, which he does, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Arteta try to do that. And it's one thing I'm surprised he's not done more of since he's been at Arsenal. But maybe the options of players that he really trusts have been there. Haynes says, what if we play Vieira on the right wing and Saka on the left wing? Again, potential solutions. But when everyone was saying, oh, but if Vieira comes, does that affect the Tielemans deal? One of the questions you asked, I think it's more likely to affect what we might do in the wider areas, but we'll see about that.
I don't like Saka on the left, I'll be honest. I much prefer him on the right.
Out
of all the positions we've seen Saka in, personally, left is the least favourite for me. I like him at right wing, I like him central, maybe number 10ish, I like him left back. Then it'd probably be left wing.
Fair enough.
Because he's not a dynamic winger, Saka.
No, as in like a lung busting, get to the byline, whip it. I think he's got that burst in him, but I know what you mean. He's not like
my wing. One of my wingers, I like that winger to be left-footed, left side, or right-footed, right side. Right. But I'd like him to have a bit more pace, a bit more directness, and I don't think Saka has that. Saka's more controlled, and he has a method to it. So yeah,
I think he could. I think with age, he might add that to his game because he is quick off 2-3 yards. That.
He's
little
agile,
burst, but we'll see. Torrens says, opinion on Pedro Goncalves from Lisbon. We need him. This is a guy that, spoiler, there's a drafts video coming out this weekend, and that was one of the players you'd mentioned.
Because this season I'm looking at, we've done the European draft video. It comes out Sunday 5 p.m. So we looked at the top 4 or 5 leagues in Europe. We all picked 2 or 3 players out of each league, and we decided upon one. Some of them we couldn't decide, so it's going to go to you guys in the comments. But yeah, Pedro Goncalves, is that his name? He's definitely in my opinion, if we're going to strengthen one wing, it'd be the left wing more than the right for me. Don't get me wrong, we want depth in both, but for me, there's more to strengthen on the left side than there is on the right side. Which might go against Martinelli's development, but at the same time, I think competition aids development too. And Martinelli is one of those left wingers that likes to cut in, so maybe a left winger that hugs the touchline a bit, but then Goncalves ain't really that guy because he likes to come into the box and let off shots as well. But we talked about many. Diaby, we talked about in
Moussa Diaby,
we mentioned a few. Oyarzabal,
in
Spain.
Yeah.
So there was a few wing options, but I'm always looking at the left. Not sure why, because when I think about it now, I like Martinelli too. But maybe his numbers don't fill me with the utmost confidence that he doesn't need competition on that side this year. I
also think Martinelli can play on the right. I think the couple of games where he did have to fill in there came on against Newcastle at Old Trafford. I think he did a good job out there. Shress says, find it stupid that Arsenal fans question funds spent by Arsenal when fans pay the most for Premier League tickets. Arsenal can fund it via marketing, massive fan base in the world. Omar says it's not just 6 games in October, April. Don't forget cups. No, I agree, Omar. It's a minimum of that. That's what's crazy. Bruce says, Houssam Aouar link again, not bad for 12 to 15 million. I don't think that will happen because it looks like Tielemans is that kind of creative central midfielder.
Robust,
that we're looking at. Let's move into the third. So we mentioned Tielemans there. Does Tielemans arriving mean, I'm going to get the poll up just to confirm, 78% of people were happy with the 30 million of the funds being spent, or 77 now, on Vieira. So good.
And we need to know how much we've got for. Is it 30 of 60? Then we might look at it like, what are you guys doing? But if it's 30 of 150, then keep it coming.
That's what we're going to find out. Does Tielemans signing mean Xhaka's no longer a regular starter? If there's one player that Arteta has been like, this guy, whether it's alongside El Neni or Partey when he's fit as a midfield two, and then as he's developed, he's played a 4-3-3 with almost 2 8s alongside Partey, and he's gone, I'm going to get Xhaka, who's not naturally the most forward thinking. He can pass the ball forwards, but I mean on the press, agile, creative, like output in the final third. But he's been trying to get him to play that role. Kind of feels like square pegs, round holes kind of thing. Trusts him, but maybe just more than other options. But does this mean he's not a regular starter anymore?
Well, hopefully, firstly. But yeah, I assume so. If we get Tielemans as well, then I don't see how Xhaka starts in the team. And Tielemans and Xhaka are very different players, because for me, Tielemans is actually a good player. That's the difference. I don't really know what Xhaka does yet. To this day, people can't really answer that question. And the fact that a 29-year-old has been moved from the position he's so good in and so consistent in to another position midway through a new manager's second season kind of indicates to me that, all right, you might like him because he comes to training early. You might like him because he's good around the kids. You might like him because he speaks well and all of that. But the reality is, we don't really know what he brings on the pitch, really and truly. So for me, Tielemans definitely brings something on the pitch, quality-wise. I can't say Xhaka brings quality onto the pitch.
If I were to explain, I'll be honest, I've not been his biggest fan since he's arrived at Arsenal, Xhaka. If I'm to, though, try and describe what I think he does, I think he's the guy who can get it off the defence and move it up the pitch, and he's got a good left foot. He can find the ball over the top. He can ping it into feet. I think his positional understanding is very good. I actually will give him that in terms of. Do you remember there was a time we used to get overrun in midfield a lot? And I think under Arteta that's happened far, far less. You don't look at games and go, oh, Xhaka can't keep up. And I think because we've got a better structure around him, but also I think he's kind of matured and his positioning is a lot better. And I think defensively, I've never looked at him and gone, oh, they're targeting Xhaka. Not really since Arteta arrived. But where I think he's lacking and what Tielemans brings is that kind of killer pass, that pass is the reason we scored. And I think Xhaka has shown it at times, but I think at the intensity and rate of the Premier League, it's not what comes naturally to him. I think Xhaka loves to win the ball, get his head up, ping a nice pass, and then go, cool, you guys go. I'll hold my position, you guys thrive. Yeah. Whereas I think Tielemans does want to have that little bit more impact and a little bit more, impact is the word, in the final third.
I think... See, you're right, but listen, you said you think, and when Xhaka picks up the ball, in front of the defence, and he's been the guy doing that for years up until this season when Partey really started taking a role. I believe what lets him down the most is he's so one-footed. He's so one-footed that everyone that's pressing knows which way he's turning. So if he's receiving the ball from Leno or Cech or Ramsdale, everyone knows there's only one way this guy's turning. He's turning this way, because his strong foot's his left foot. There's no way he turns this way. And it's people can go back to videos and see how many times my guy used to pick it up from defence and turn this way, get closed down, lose the ball, and either we concede or most shots conceded from a mistake, whatever the stats were around Xhaka. And yes, he's been moved up, but now his problem is when he receives it in that advanced position, he doesn't have that out of the feet and go. Whereas Tielemans has that. One turn out of his feet and a little bit of agility, you're off. Xhaka doesn't have that. So in both positions, he doesn't have, in my opinion, what's necessary in the modern game. Because both attributes he's missing, whether it's in front of the defence or in that position, the attributes he's missing makes him susceptible to the press.
I've liked Xhaka a lot this season, but I haven't seen enough contribution in the final third for me to say we don't need a Tielemans or we don't need a player like that who... I think sometimes people break players down into you're either an attacking midfielder or a defensive midfielder. You can be a midfielder who's defensively sound, doesn't get too far forward, but still impacts what's going on in front.
Or vice versa. Like
absolutely.
They do a bit. Savic from Lazio,
right?
He does the attacking side of things. He gets goals and assists, but he's a bit more robust. Sure. He breaks up play, so he does a bit of both.
Yeah, absolutely. When I look at Thiago, who I think in terms of his role as a left central midfielder who creates and registers a lot of key passes and all that, when I look at players like him, Liverpool fans will tell me if I'm wrong, I don't really see him much in the number 10 position, in and around the penalty area, playing 1-2s, like getting to the byline and crossing. He doesn't do a lot of that, but he does do the give it to me, and I'm going to see the whole pitch, and then I'm going to pick the right passes, and I'm going to pull the strings.
Or he creates a bit of space for himself with his, you know, he's got a drop of the shoulder.
Yeah, he loves the drop of the shoulder, right, exactly.
Swaz of the foot, and he goes this way. Like he's got that way, and you need that as a midfielder. Partey's got a bit of that, not in the same manner.
Yeah.
But Partey can pick up the ball under pressure and find a bit of space.
It's that millisecond that when everyone's going that way, suddenly they're going, oh, okay, it's this way. Yeah. You know, and I think Tielemans adds that. I personally, have a little look at the votes. 1,300 people have voted. 74% think yes, Tielemans arriving does mean that Xhaka is no longer a regular starter. But what I think this is an interesting question. It's nothing on Xhaka. I think we're about to sign this guy. We've got to figure out where he's going to play. I think Arteta still really trusts Xhaka as a person he can give instructions to and he can carry it out. As a person who he's coached to play out the back, and Xhaka can do it. I think it's a good thing for Arteta, whether it is for Arsenal long term or not, we'll find out. I think it's a good thing for Arteta that he's going to have a Tielemans, but then a player behind that he was happy the last season before to play week in, week out. Yeah,
but if Xhaka does stay, and it looks like he is staying, I'd probably want, I don't know if I'd want him to be used sparingly like Holding was this season. Maybe if we need to hold on to a lead or something like that, maybe then if he listens to instructions so well, he comes on for 20 minutes and does it. Holding was doing that, but then the moment you need him, like the moment we needed Holding, it all went pear-shaped. He cost us in a big game against Tottenham, and the rest is history. Similar with Xhaka. Okay, he might come in here and there and do a job. If you need a goal, bringing him on doesn't really help. But all right, to hold something maybe. But let's not put ourselves in a position where we have to rely upon him again.
Okay.
Because as much as I've talked about Partey the last 2 years and Partey's injuries costing us and not being able to rely on him, Xhaka, not so much injuries, but his mistakes and his lack of real quality has cost us. So let's not leave ourselves in a position where we're in March going into those April runner fixtures where we're questioning who's starting in the middle because of an injury. Is it Xhaka or is it Partey? Because we need to get over this hump. If we don't learn from our mistakes, then these young players are eventually going to look around and say, listen, I can't wait around forever.
Yeah. I mean, and we could frame this question in a lot of ways. What does it mean for Lokonga, for example? Well, I think what we might have is a lot of experienced first-teamers playing Europa League minutes. El Neni, Xhaka, maybe a Fabio Vieira starts by getting a lot of the minutes there. I don't know if he's going to start him, but a Smith Rowe, Nketiah, you know, Jesus is arriving. And on Jesus, the question is, actually, let's just quickly round up this poll. 75% of people do think Tielemans arriving will mean that Xhaka is no longer a regular starter. Do have some super chats, I believe. Gio says Liverpool paying 7 million for Carvalho makes me a bit jaded about the amount we paid for Vieira. Similar players, big difference in valuation. Yeah, I kind of hear what you're saying. I don't know how good Carvalho is. Obviously, he's never played Champions League football. He's coming from Fulham. That's not to say he can't be a top talent. I think Harvey Elliott came from Fulham, maybe. Was it Fulham? Let me know in the comments.
I can't remember who he came from.
And he's, you know, he clearly looks a very good player. So hard to judge those two. TV says, personally, I would prefer Osimhen over Jesus. Do you agree? I mean, it's a bit of a moot point because it looks like Jesus is absolutely the one he wants. But I guess if we're asking it, Osimhen, is he the kind of striker you'd want?
Yeah, but it's both.
Yeah,
we need two strikers. Yeah. And even then, I don't think you've got enough variation, but I'll definitely take both. If you ask me to pick one, then yeah, Osimhen would be the one because I have my doubts. Listen, it's all good and well Jesus, you know, at Man City, but at Arsenal, it's a different kettle of fish.
I think I still pick Jesus because of his versatility across the front three and that he's done it in the Premier League.
And I pick it because of the opposite. Yeah. Because I'm old school.
Sure, yeah.
So I want a striker that's a striker. You know, I don't care how much he drops to link up player, just banging the goals, be in dangerous positions, you know, peel off the last man, stuff like that. So I'm kind of the opposite of you, but the reality is we need two. Yeah, I hear that. So then the fourth question, the fourth poll of the day coming up now. 20 goals in all competitions. Can Jesus score that? Can he do it? You better do it. If we sign him, you better do it. 20 goals in all competitions. Listen. Okay, again. I know it's nothing special. Listen, that's a decent return, but it's not like, you know, Aubameyang, I think in his first full got 30 in all comps, and that was again a Europa League run, got to the final. I'm looking at 15, 20 for Jesus in the league. And don't get me wrong, am I confident of that? No, because Jesus hasn't been the greatest goal scorer over the years. But Arsenal are buying a striker. We need goals. So those two facts alone, I need a striker that's going to bang 20. Now, if the season starts and ends and we achieve what we need to achieve, we get top 4, whatever, and the goals come from 10 on the right, 15 on the left, 15 in the middle, and so on, then cool, I get it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But we need goals. We're buying a striker. Surely the standard has to be, really, I should be saying 20, but because I doubt that with Jesus, I'm going to say 15, 20 in his first season.
Sure.
And then next season, I'll be saying 20, depending on if he gets 15, 20 in his first.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that should be the standard. I think any striker coming into any top 6, big 6 club, the first thing should be, I'm confident he's going to get 20 goals.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a lot to ask because we're in the Europa League.
Yeah.
And you expect, I've said this so many times, I can now see it. We finish 3rd and we drop into the Conference League. But you expect we go into the later rounds. You expect that there's more opportunities for big games and important goals. When you break it down into 10 league goals before the World Cup and 10 after, that doesn't sound like a lot at all. But I think it's been so long since I've seen, even Aubameyang, the year we won the FA Cup, and obviously we ended that 2019-20 season in lockdown. Yeah, he was fantastic then. I don't know, but then before Aubameyang, it was, we didn't really have that kind of Giroud. I think, did Giroud ever get 20 goals in a season for Arsenal?
Well, maybe not all competitions. Maybe
think he must have.
He must have got all competitions, but not league. Definitely not.
I'll have a little look.
Definitely.
While I ask you that, there is a super chat for you. I don't know if you've seen it from AFC Max. He'd like you to read it.
Let me see quickly. Let me see if I can find that, Max. Let me see if I can find it. How far are we up?
It's a yellow one. If not, I've got it here for you. He says, Turkish, can you read this? Number 14, 7, 10, 8, 9, 4, 5 doesn't have the weight they used to, so that's why I don't really care. As long as they perform on the pitch, they could have number 50. To be honest, love you, my guy. Hashtag.
Yeah, it's not the numbers are not the be all and end all, but it's an indicator of what the club is thinking. It's an indicator. 14 goes to Eddie, then any dreams, and I guess it is dreams of Gnabry, they're pretty much gone, because Gnabry ain't coming here to take number 67. He'd be coming here to take a massive number, because that works for the Kroenkes in the club, because a massive player with a massive number, massive sales. So we won't get a massive name in. We are in the Europa League. We have been in the mud for years. Cool, that might be the reasons to it. But at the same time, I want us to get back in the position where we are signing massive players. And if we're giving out all the good numbers now, or the numbers that hold weight, or the numbers that sell shirts, I doubt whether they even have that in mind for the future, buying big names.
So Giroud managed 90 goals in 254 Premier League games. 11 in his first season, 16 in his second, 14 in his third, 16, and then 12.
That league.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, the 16 in 2015-16 is a decent return, but it's not. I mean, I think we look back at that. That was the year that Leicester won it. Yeah. And we look back at that year as if we'd had more goals, if we'd had Benzema, as we've been linked to loads.
Surprisingly,
the summer before,
I like
after,
Giroud a lot more than I like Lacazette at this club.
Okay, wow.
And that's a surprise to me, because I wanted to move on from Giroud and we got Lacazette and Oba in the door. But it was the wrong move.
Okay.
It was the wrong move, because having Giroud would have been a different option. Instead of trying to fit in Oba and Lacazette all those years and it not working, we would have had one striker that does this and we would have been another striker that does that. And Giroud went on to really build upon his name anyway.
Yeah, he did.
So I look back and
he definitely got better with age, Giroud.
Yeah, 100%.
His game was never about.
He won the French league and he was top scorer with Montpellier, and that's a massive achievement.
I agree, but I don't like this revisionism on Giroud. I said at the time when he was at Arsenal that he was underrated for the work he did as a hold-up man and what a presence he was on set pieces and all that. And I like strikers that can do that. Mm-hmm. But in the modern game, when you need something a bit more complete, the running behind, that trickery, that close control, those little things, I think he lacked in that area. But his game was never about explosiveness and skill and quick feet. And so as he grew older, he grew better. But look, I'm talking about a World Cup winner, Europa League winner, a Champions League winner. He was at Chelsea last year?
Yeah, Champions League winner.
Champions League winner.
Europa League winner.
And now Serie A winner. Listen, his trophy cabinet is pretty special, and congrats to him. I don't think he was right for what we had and what we needed, which is why I never really liked the revisionism around. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but some people go, oh man, you know, he was so good for us. I don't see it that way. I think he actually got better, but
yeah, we needed to improve on him for sure.
Yeah,
as a second striker,
I think with Aubameyang we did, and then it was a case of, well, we got Lacazette as well. How do we fit them in?
Yeah.
So 20 league goals for Jesus, nearly 1.5k votes. 78% saying he can score 20 in all comps. Maybe I should have made that harder. Can he?
I think so. 20 in all comps.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty easy.
Yeah.
And you got Europa League in there, you got League Cup in there.
Amma says, I'm surprised Eddie signed a new contract. I thought he wanted to be the main man, not the understudy to Jesus. Having said that, more strikers the merrier. I think from that perspective, I'm a little bit surprised because, listen, Jesus can play on the right and Nketiah can start up front. It's not that they can't play in the same team together, but it's more after you ended the season the way you did and lots of contract offers, and you know he hasn't been given a plethora of opportunities. I'm not saying he necessarily deserved many more. Yeah, I thought he'd have gone somewhere and just shown he can score goals. And
yeah, what I don't get is if he's now worthy of being second choice striker at Arsenal Football Club and having the number 14, then why didn't we see him until push came to shove in the season? Surely if you believe that, and when Arteta comes out and says, listen, Eddie's a great guy, it's on me and all that, but why? It's all good. Yeah, it is on you because Eddie's not going to come in and say, I'm starting today.
Yeah,
we know it's on you, so you don't have to tell us it's
I
on you.
fancy it today, lads.
But can you explain now how 3 months ago he wasn't even good enough to be starting in a team where your striker is not getting anything, and now all of a sudden he's good enough to be a second choice striker and potentially get number 14 and be given promises of game time?
I think this is an Arteta problem. I think we were in a top 4 race that I think deep down he didn't really expect us to be in, and I don't think he wanted to rotate. And I remember doing the previews at Watford. We were very lucky to get in the ground, and we were talking about what 11s we wanted to see. Me and Robbie, I said Pepe on the right, rest Saka. And I was like, you can't rest Saka, and I get it. And then he plays, and he was fantastic, and he scored, and you're sitting there going, I can't believe I wanted him not to play. But when you look at the way the season ended, and his international break has not gone brilliantly, he's not been bad, but he's not been the Saka we know. And the guy looks absolutely exhausted. I was watching that England game against Hungary with my dad, and he said, poor guy, like I just hope he gets the time off. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't even start the season. You know, he kind of plays some friendlies, but actually we might have other players who start because Arteta just wants to absolutely make sure he comes back ready.
Yeah, people call me a moaner, but I don't care. But listen, all of this stuff about players getting tired and all that, I get it, but I don't get it. Players ain't playing that much more games now than they was back in the day.
But is it coupled with mental fatigue? Is it coupled with...
Yeah, but mental fatigue... Okay, social media can bring that as well.
You got social media, the weight on his, you know, the pressure on Saka, you know, when things weren't going right against Newcastle.
But back then, people were going pubs after games and still they were ready for the season. They were ready to play. Now, everything's so much. You eat well, you do this, you do that, you follow this regime. Yeah. But people are still, like, protecting them so much.
But we're seeing players now prolong their careers more. You're seeing Ronaldo at 37, 38 score more goals and keep playing at the Premier League level and still be one of the best players, because Zidane didn't always play Ronaldo, you know, when he was at Real Madrid, and he had those moments where he did just go, you know what, it doesn't need to happen today. He saw Cavani come at 34 years old, I think, and show he can still mix up in the Premier League. And you got players around Europe, Ibrahimovic, unbelievable story. You know, so maybe it's not just about the here and now. It's, yeah, sure, Saka you probably could chuck in for another 38 games, but you're going to get 5, 6, 7 really good years out of Saka if you're going to keep depending on him in the same way United maybe depended on Marcus Rashford a bit too much.
I get you. Listen, that's where rotation comes in and having depth, and Arsenal always had depth back in the glory days. But yeah, all of this overprotection, I think, listen, I never like my players going to play for England anyway. Because listen, England major tournaments, whatever it is, when players go there, they don't come back, you know, confident. Even last Euros, players got knocked even going to the final and being a penalty or two away from winning it. The English players still came back to heavy criticism, to racism, to all of this stuff. So for me, I'd prefer they don't go because it doesn't bode well. But at the end of the day, they also love it. So if you love it, you know, it's a balance. But the club pay you. You are here for the club at the end of the day. So all of this, he played in the tournament, he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. I used to hear that a lot at Arsenal, especially Wenger. But then I'd look at Ferguson and United, the same players that were at the tournament, they'd be starting the first game of the season.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And Pep's done that a few times. But also Ferguson had a knack for, he rotated, but it wasn't always like week in, week out. I remember sometimes, Antonio Valencia would be starting sort of like, maybe 10, 15 league games. And then out of nowhere, Nani's starting every game from sort of December onwards. And you think, where's he come from? He's suddenly, do you know what I mean? And Berbatov, would kind of not really figure he'd have Rooney, Hernandez,
Pep
maybe
does that
Welbeck.
well now.
Yeah, and then suddenly, bam, Berbatov starting 10 games. Where's it? I think it might be a case of managing periods for these players. And you know what? Pepe's in great form. So actually, Saka, you're good. But you're going to come back. You're going to get your moment. So I don't know. Yeah, Pep does do that well. There are moments where you go, where's Riyad Mahrez?
Yeah,
Bernardo Silva had time out of the team.
Yeah.
I think last year there was talks of him leaving, and people weren't really sure what was kind of going on. He wasn't starting as much. This year he's been colossal for them. In central midfield as well.
Sterling had his patch as well this season where he was banging in goals. And Gundogan had a patch a couple seasons ago banging in goals.
Jesus ending the season suddenly in the team. Yeah.
So maybe you're right.
Maybe. Benny says, in the USA, when a player is legendary, their number gets retired and never gets worn again. It's a huge achievement. Would you like this in European football? Would you like the retirement of big numbers?
100%.
I think if they're like a true legend, yeah. And Henry obviously fits that.
Then you'd run out of numbers.
Because
for me, Adam's number has to be retired, Bergkamp's number has to be retired, Henry's number has to be retired.
This might... Don't get at me, Arsenal fans. I think it's like what I mean by true, like almost like your best ever player. Because you're right. How can you kind of not ever have another number 6 or another number 10 or another?
More difficult.
And people want to wear that number on the shirt, and maybe that's the same with 14. But I think Henry, who's broken all these records and holds all these accolades and all that, maybe that's kind of something.
Yeah.
Maybe in 10 years' time, 66 will be retired for Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And 14, pardon my ignorance, I don't know, but before Henry, I can't remember a 14 really being a big number.
Yeah.
I think the 14 and Henry kind of, whereas with 10, Bergkamp, legend up there, and I'd retire his number 2, but with 10, it kind of goes on.
Sure.
If you start retiring all the numbers, then you're going to be left with a team that's starting at the 20s.
Yeah, it's a great question.
So it's a balance, but I think maybe it's about not retiring a number, but having like a Hall of Fame for the club where Henry 14 is there and Bergkamp 10 is there. And not giving it away, like it doesn't matter. But we've gone past that now, so it's all in hindsight.
Clue 3L3ZZ says we paid 10 million for Giroud. We got what we paid for. I think it was a bit more than that, but I kind of take your point. Chirac says Google Victor Osimhen, then you guys will see many articles from Italy claiming Arsenal were preparing a £100 million bid for Osimhen. Could this be true? I would take that with a pinch of salt. I'm not absolutely convinced personally, but obviously we have discussed it and we will continue to. Desperately in need of a dependable left back. Zinchenko, says Charlie. He's praying for Zinchenko to arrive. And I think that is all the super chats. Sadiq asks, James, you're talking about rotation. I hear that. But didn't you say to Robbie that Basuma wasn't a priority because we have Partey? Remember what Robbie told you? Sadiq, absolutely great point. And yeah, it kind of does contradict what I'm saying. But for me, and this isn't a popular opinion, the drop-off with Partey, El Neni came in and kind of did fine. And I don't mind the backup being someone who can do fine. Whereas I think Robbie was saying he could be a backup to Partey, but more so he actually wanted him in midfield with Partey. I want rotation across the front three because I think the burden of scoring goals is higher than just coming in and sort of... I'm not saying Partey's role isn't... It's a difficult role to do, but I just think the mental fatigue and constantly being that player, trying to score goals, trying to create, trying to be like... that constant excitement on the press for Arsenal. I want to add depth, and not just depth, quality. Where Basuma, for me, isn't as good as Partey, though he's absolutely fantastic, I want to add depth because they're actually probably better than what we've got. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I think you might eat your words if we're left at the end of the season with injuries there. I
probably will.
Basuma and Tottenham.
Listen, I've done a bit of, I'll hold my hands up. There's a little bit of mental gymnastics in there, but I think where Rafinha is depth for Saka, like I think he's as good, if not better, and adds real competition.
And we have to wait to the end of the window to really determine whether losing out to Spurs on Basuma was a big thing, or whether we had other plans and we got it done and we're happy with it.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think, it's an interesting debate. I think we got one more. I
want to know why the chat's still talking about Xhaka.
Are they?
That shows how sensitive something.
You might be a bit behind.
No, I'm not a bit behind. I'm scrolling. I see Xhaka's name popping up here and there. I'm just thinking, didn't we talk about Xhaka like 25 minutes ago now, 20 minutes ago? And people are still talking about him. This is the problem. Relax. Sensitivity.
Yeah.
You support Arsenal Football Club, not one individual player. And if you are going to support players, at least support the ones that fucking done something for this club.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There was one last poll. Let's get it up because I can't actually see it on my screen, so I've forgotten what I was even going to ask. So let's get the poll up, and then I will ask the question. This was it. Does secret, because it was secret really, does secret Fabio Vieira deal give you more faith for the rest of the transfer window?
No.
Fair enough.
But I like business being done like that. Surprise us, surprise us with quality, because Vieira seems like a quality signing. So surprise us with quality. But does it give me faith? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, when we bought Czech early in that window, that gave me faith that finally we're going to be proactive in a window, and we didn't buy no one else.
Yeah.
Xhaka, I think similar. We confirmed him pretty early, if not towards the end of the actual season. But, we still didn't start the next season right. So I think it's an indicator, I guess, that they know what they want to do, and they're not letting off any hints or rumours. So be it. Do what you need to do. I don't care if I know or not. All I care about is the announcement and the quality and how it has an effect on the side.
Sure.
So I don't think it's an indicator, but I like that no one knew about it and it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Does it give me more faith? No. The fact that it was a secret doesn't give me more faith personally. I'm not like, oh, we didn't know about it. Like, wow, they must be doing loads. They must have 10 players ready to rattle off in the background. I don't think it's that. We saw with Nuno Tavares came a little bit out of nowhere last year. Tomiyasu was deadline. They haven't heard anything all window. So I'm not particularly bothered about the fact that it was secret. It's nice. Yesterday we were all chilling, a bit kind of, and then suddenly, okay, we're signing a player. Wow, we've got to do all this. We've got to talk about it. We've got to break it down.
That's what the summer's about. You just want to be living your normal life and then bang.
Yeah, exactly. The bit that does give me faith is that there's the Tielemans stuff hasn't slowed down. We've not heard anything today like looking like they won't get him.
Yeah, that's surprising.
That bit I'm like, wow, okay. I really thought we were in for a fullback, a midfielder, Tielemans, 1 year left. We'll get him for 25, whatever. And we'll just try and sort of scramble for two forwards. Now, if Vieira's one of the forwards, then fine. But he can play in midfield, and you want to get Tielemans. And Odegaard, Xhaka, Partey, and the three of them started together last season, generally did quite well. I think those are good options. I still believe there's a talented player in Lokonga. I still think El Neni is a dependable backup, dependable being the word. So I'm kind of looking at our midfield suddenly. Smith Rowe can drop into it, and I'm thinking that's okay. I think we've upgraded our midfield if we do the deals we're expected to do.
I think so, but again, I'm just worried about that Partey injury. I'm not as hopeful as you on Lokonga. If you ask me now, Partey gets injured in the second game of the season. Let's say the second game after the window closes. Who do I want to replace? It's El Nene. But again, that's just me picking out of what we have. Essentially, I'd like another midfielder there that I'm like him.
But can I ask you something? Do you think sometimes with play, especially that holding midfield position, do you think sometimes if you've got the right two around you, your level will be elevated, not just because you're a better team so you've got two players, but I actually mean the way they move, the positions they take up, blah, blah, is naturally going to get the best out of you. I'll give you an example. Charlie Patino, fantastic young talent, but making his debut against Nottingham Forest, that's a difficult partnership to strike for Lokonga, isn't it? You know, a youngster coming in, or when we played Liverpool in the Carabao Cup semi-final, Lokonga was at the base, and against Burnley the same thing. He had Odegaard and Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe is not naturally a central midfielder, but if you put Tielemans and Odegaard, do you suddenly see a different Lokonga? Do you suddenly see a player who, yeah, thank you, you're helping me out, you've raised my level, El Nenny's level's raised? Because let's face it, when El Nenny came in, he did a good job. He did a good job when he came in, and he was part of that really good run, winning at West Ham, beating Chelsea, winning beating United, winning at Chelsea, because Xhaka and Odegaard were functioning well around him. I just kind of wonder whether it's one of those positions where the players around you, and naturally you'll just see a better...
Potentially, because I think Partey's best performances have come with Odegaard in the side. And I like the connection him and Odegaard started having before the injury. So yeah, obviously the people around you can make you better as well, because not only because they have quality, but because it takes the attention away from you a bit as well. Sometimes when you've only got quality in two positions, it's very easy to nullify it.
Yeah.
But if you have more quality out there, it gives more for the opposition to think about.
Sure.
So 100% you're right. Didn't Partey kind of fall flat on his face in the Villarreal semi-final when it was Emile Smith Rowe and Odegaard in front of him?
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah,
because they was overrun. He was just there alone, and Villarreal were just having their way on the counter and picking us off, and it just didn't look good. Maybe that's when Arteta really thought about, this is my way, and I'm being pushed into it because of injuries. Because it seemed like he reverted to that in the second half of the season, Partey being the anchor again, but it seemed to work a lot better than it did that day. So we'll see.
I just wonder if El Nenny slotting in when Tielemans and Odegaard have played 10 to 15 league games and they're firing, suddenly it won't feel like, oh God, we missed Partey, like it has done in the past sometimes. I just wonder if that, and I think a good example of it for me is Liverpool. Sometimes when Fabinho doesn't play, you don't look at that Liverpool squad and go, you know, this guy's a fantastic player to come in for Fabinho, but then sometimes it'll be James Milner. And actually, because the rest of the midfield functions so brilliantly, the team is functioning so brilliantly, Milner, who I think is a good player, he's not Fabinho, the levels don't really drop. So I just wonder whether that might be something we see from El Nenny or Lokonga. We'll see. JR says, I wouldn't be surprised if Xhaka stays to play defensive midfield because Partey can't ever stay fit for a full season. Now that's another thing. Maybe Xhaka, who's not as mobile, but positionally maybe understands what that holding midfielder's got to do, getting the ball off the defence and whatever. Maybe. I'd worry about him getting overrun there, but
that's what I'm saying. It just goes back to the same problems we had a couple of years back. That's what I want to avoid. But at the same time, I guess we can't fix everything this summer, like we always say. Just fix as much as you can, Arsenal. And I think if Tielemans comes in, then the question earlier about Xhaka less game time,
cool. Johnny says, our signing should make a statement. Sign Gabriel Jesus, that will give me more faith. Make a statement signing. I think the statement will be more in how many of those 30, 40, 50 million pound players we get, rather than the fact that we got 180 million. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting.
And please, no major announcement with this whole Eddie and Jesus calling each other. Arsenal, allow it. Just announce the Eddie extension under the radar. Announce Jesus when you sign Jesus. I don't want to see no call me and then the guy's in Brazil and he answers the phone and then it's Eddie talking to Jesus. I don't care about all of that. Just get it over the line. If you're giving Eddie a new contract, under the radar, put it in, whatever. I don't want to see this whole madness over this because it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Just, we got more business to do. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because a lot of people are insinuating that is the plan. We'll see. Hopefully not. Just get the thing done.
Now, I was going to round off the news there, but 3 minutes ago, David Ornstein dropped a tweet. Arsenal's defensive priority this window is Lisandro Martinez, wanted for ability to play left centre-back and left-back. 24-year-old Argentina international is said to be keen. Sources indicate that around a £30 million bid, or €30 million already rejected by Ajax, but Arsenal keep pushing. So around a 20 to £30 million bid. I tweeted about this earlier today. Do you know a lot about this guy? So, from what I understand, I'm going to dip into my little Football Manager
go ahead.
mental database. He's not the tallest at all. but he's played left centre-back for Ajax. He can also play left-back, very good on the ball, can also play as a holding midfielder. When I saw this link today, my thought was, that's your inverted wing-back.
Okay.
That's your
Zinchenko.
left-back, but actually comes into midfield and is part of the distribution, the build-up, the shield in front. And actually, profile-wise, they'll have to do more research, obviously watch more clips and kind of get more of an understanding for him. That kind of fits the bill. Argentina international as mentioned, but also I think he's a very tenacious player.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's a really kind of like proper aggressive defender. And again, is this another player who's coming to fill a few positions? Partey gets injured, but now he's a holding midfielder. I don't know. Any kind of real thoughts on this, or?
It's a position we need. I don't know much about him, but listen, when Zinchenko was linked, I'm not Zinchenko's biggest fan, but we need a player that can accommodate both, because we saw what an injury does to Arteta's plans. So yeah, positive. 30 million bid rejected. That would make me think, is Arsenal really going to go spend 35, 40 on a backup to Gabriel and a Tierney backup and a guy? But maybe.
I feel like Arteta's going, so we need to address 7 positions, but I'm going to do it with 4 players. Yeah. So we need a left centre-back, a left-back and a holding midfielder. Lisandro Martinez. We need another advanced number 8. We need backup for Odegaard, and we need depth in the front 3. Fabio Vieira. We need goals in the front 3. Gabriel Jesus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need another winger who can play left and right. Rafinha. There's your 4. Tielemans. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Left field,
I feel like he's going, I want quality, but I need to address a lot of positions, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it if it works.
Yeah. By the start of next season, we're all going, what?
What's
is this 11? Xhaka at left back.
Where's the striker?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, positive. More moves Friday afternoon.
Fantastic stuff. Gunner Blog says, even once Fabio Vieira has signed, Gabriel Jesus and Rafinha remain targets for Arsenal. Interest in Ajax defender Lisandro Martinez is also intensifying, and we know from everyone that Tielemans remains.
Positive stuff.
That's really positive. Look, there's a smile on my face, because I like that from Arsenal. That feels proactive. That feels clever. That feels like opening with a 30 million euro bid. Yeah, fair enough. You must really rate this guy.
But on the flip side, you hear that we haven't even put a bid in for Tielemans yet. So who knows what to believe, man. From Romano tweeted today, Arsenal, Tielemans is still top priority. My guy said they're preparing a bid. So wait, what did someone do? Call you and say, yeah, mate, we're still writing it up. Yeah, just let them know we're still writing it up. It might take another few days. We're halfway through. It's 3,000 words. We're on about 1.4k. You know, what kind of update is that?
I want to make it clear, I'm not laughing at Romano's update. I'm laughing at the fact that is probably how Arsenal work. From everything I've heard, it's we'll get it done. Like, don't worry. Yeah, we're writing the check as we speak. And Leicester are there like, when is... I saw a Leicester fan genuinely tweet a week ago, when the fuck are Arsenal going to pay for Tielemans so we can go and do our business? Even there, like, just get on with it. Like, we're all waiting. Charlie asks, are Saliba or Holding leaving? Arteta's confirmed Saliba's staying. Saliba's confirmed he's staying. Whether it goes beyond a year, we don't know. He's going to be here for a year. Holding, I think, will stay, because I think Holding's quite happy with playing Cup, playing Europa League, compete, loves the club.
He's happy.
I'll set you off. I'm not going into that.
Carl Jenkins needs to call him and be like, yo, do you want to come? Where is he? Go over where he is.
No, I'm not doing this. I'm not. Big up Rob Holding. So, nearly 2,000 votes on the poll. 67% said that the secrecy of the Vieira deal has given them more faith in the window. So, let's hope. An interesting update there to round off the show as well with David Ornstein.
Which is another example of that for me. Out of nowhere, name.
Yeah.
Interesting positions, happy, calm.
Cool, right, we'll see. We'll do our research, and no doubt I'll be presenting it like an expert, as some people have been. So many people. Oh yeah, you knew about this guy.
I'm going to give James credit though, because the European draft video that will come out this Sunday at 5 p.m, that was planned a week in advance. So, you know, it was Cecil's idea. So Cecil asked me, James and Robbie to think about 2 players from each league that we'd want, and we're going to go through them. And he actually had Vieira in his list for the Portuguese league before it even dropped. So I got to give credit to James. With
you.
Vieira, he knew.
Do you know how much I needed that?
I'll co-sign you on that one. I'll co-sign you.
So many people didn't believe me.
I'll co-sign you.
Thank you. I'll send the money later.
No worries.
All right, let's round that up, guys. A reminder that with code GOONER20 you can get 20% off all AFTV merch before Father's Day. Do go ahead and get it. The merch is absolute class. Yeah, just go have a look at it. Honestly, some really good stuff from the hoodies to the t-shirts as well. I mentioned that the Air Ramsdale one's absolutely my favourite. There's loads of great ones. The I Like It, if you want to give your support to Saka and Smith Rowe and stuff. And do you know what I like about it? There are times where I want to rep Arsenal, but not necessarily the merch. Not on a cronky promotion thing. Just I don't always want to wear kits and training shirts or whatever. I always want to wear a nice. This hoodie, for example, is really bad with me. I have worn the 08 Odegaard white hoodie on a night out before, but no one it wasn't. It was the North Bank one.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's a nice hoodie. I'm gonna wear it. So
you know me and merchant.
Yeah.
When I saw this on Re1, I was like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Let me take that. I even got 2 of these. So
fair enough. Well, we've been going a while, so we'll round it there, guys. I really enjoyed this. If you enjoyed this kind of format show, let us know in the comment section. If you want to do a few more polls, a few more. Oh, we got one more super chat I missed. Apologies. Yes, Terra Official TV, apologies, says, we are back in Europe, we need a bigger squad than what we had for sure, and still have targets incoming. How we ended last season, we needed every player. Yeah, we'll leave it there, guys. As I was saying, let us know in the comment section. Do you enjoy this kind of poll, Q&A style kind of thing that we might do on Fridays to kind of round
off, innit?
Yeah, round off the shows, the week. Yeah, let us know. We'll leave it there. People are jumping in now and going, Eddie number 14. Just leave it there. All right, guys, big thanks. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back next week. And, of course, Transfer Daily will be coming out all weekend as well as all the other content, including the European draft. So check out that.